When it comes down to it, I mean, it's like Judaism is an ancient religion that's thousands and thousands of years old, and Zionism is more of a modern political ideology. So that's really the difference. Zionism likes to say that it's tied to Judaism because Zionists now like to claim that it has to do with self-determination in the ancestral homeland. But the truth is, Judaism exists without Zionism. There's nowhere in Judaism that it says that the Jewish people need to have their own sovereign nation and they could expel and murder as many people as possible.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. And I think that, that's one of the many discussion points that are happening right now. And so for someone like you, like, have you always sort of been involved in maybe activism against Zionism or in support of the Palestinian people? Or was it what happened on October 7th? And then really what's happened since October 7th that just, made you want to speak out?
No, it wasn't. I haven't always been involved, and it wasn't just since the 7th. I guess I've really been, vocally advocating for Palestinian human rights since about like
Oh,
2020,
wow.
2019 is when I really started it. And just, to say one more thing about, to differentiate Judaism and Zionism, Judaism really is a religion that's based around a foundation of the Ten Commandments, which we're a lot of familiar with. Thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not worship any other god above me. And Zionism kind of is, kill, steal, worship the state of Israel above all other things. So it's kind of in direct, conflict with Judaism. But as it comes to my advocacy, I was raised an Orthodox Jew in Miami, Florida. Been to Israel on 3 separate occasions. I was, brought up to love Israel, to, believe in this dream of Israel, or, perhaps people could even call it the dream of Zionism, which I think is, an issue right now because a lot of Jewish people that are against what's happening with the Palestinians still will consider themselves a Zionist because they believe in this dream,
Yeah.
but unfortunately the dream is not a reality. So what really I guess happened in my journey, going from somebody who was kind of brought up to believe that all Palestinians were less than human and they wanted to murder me just because I was Jewish,
I mean, is
to
that real?
believe to
Is that
realize.
really like you really remember being told something that harsh, like as a kid, like all Palestinians want to murder you, like literally that visceral?
Yes, pretty much. They're all terrorists who want Jews dead and they want to wipe Jews off the face of the
Wow,
earth.
that's crazy. Did you go on your birthright trip? Is that something that is birthright, right?
Yes, that is, like I mentioned, been to Israel on multiple occasions. One of the occasions was going on the Birthright trip. I went on the Birthright March of the Living. So prior to going to Israel, we went to Poland. We marched from Auschwitz to Birkenau. We went to the camp, saw all that, and then went to Israel. So it was really, while it was an experience, I believe strongly that the Holocaust happened and stuff like that. It was a lot of propaganda going straight from Auschwitz to Israel.
Okay, got it, got it. Okay. Okay, so you started kind of, I guess, maybe talking about this in 2020. That's interesting. Are there, and you're in New York, what is the vibe of Jewish Americans in New York in terms of this situation? Is it split? I mean, I know there's guys like you, and then on the flip side, you've got guys like Michael Rappaport or Rabbi Shmuley, and the ones that are truly Deborah Messing. I love the eye roll. Deborah Messing, all those people that really, again, I mean, listen, everybody's entitled to their opinion and their stance, but getting back to what you said earlier about Judaism being founded on the 10 commandments and thou shalt not kill being, I think, the first one or the second one, I guess it's hard for me as an outsider to even understand how anybody could look at what we've looked at on our phones for 20 months and just the children in particular. How does anybody look at that and just not be horrified and be like, okay, you know what? Let's stop this and let's talk about it and fix it, like, I mean, what do you think? Like, what do
Absolutely. It's mind blowing and it makes no sense because it's there for everyone to see. It's so frustrating for me now, hear people be like, no one's starving. There is no starvation in Gaza. And it's like, what are you talking about? How can you exist in this world with all the knowledge that is accessible at our fingertips and believe this? And how could you want to be a representative of this beautiful ancient religion and stand on the side of people that are committing these atrocities, committing the genocide in Gaza, that are allowing the starvation to take place? I don't know. I don't know how people are able to do it. I know that there are some people that are just so brainwashed that the indoctrination has been so strong they can't get past that. There are people that are so fearful that are having their fear be manipulated. But then there are people that, should know better, like some of the names that, you mentioned, that just are on the wrong side of history and are kind of, caught up in something that they don't really realize or understand, are being manipulated. We mentioned the Ten Commandments, and an analogy I like to use is that Israel is the modern day golden calf. When the Jews went up, when Moses went up to get the Ten Commandments the first time he came down, it took him too long. Some of the people got restless. They created this golden calf. They started worshiping it. Moses came down with this was horrible. Of course, they couldn't be doing this. He ended up breaking the commandments, and these people all got punished. And I believe the same thing is happening right now, but it's the state of Israel. And so many Jewish people are so busy worshiping this modern golden calf that they don't realize that what they're doing is actually against the values of Judaism and against the religion of Judaism, because let's be honest, it just doesn't make sense what's happening in
Yeah,
Israel. And for you to call yourself a Jewish person and stand by while these thousands and thousands of people, women, children, and men, are being killed, being starved, being forcibly evicted from their homes. Like, that isn't not the Jewish way at all. If anything, not only because of the experiences that Jewish people had, like in the Holocaust, that we should make sure that this isn't happening to anyone else. I mean, I was brought up never again means never again for anybody,
yeah,
not never again means never again, only for the Jews. So it's a little crazy, but also like on a religious level, the Jews are supposed to be the light of the world. The Jews have concepts like tikkun olam, repairing the world, bringing light to the world. Like, that's what, the Jewish people should be doing. The Holy Land, whatever name you want to call it, is people have a strong connection to it from all religions.
right,
It should be a place where everybody could practice their religion and live freely and peace and harmony. And Jewish people should be the stewards of this,
right.
making sure that this happens, not the opposite, which is happening right now, which we're seeing is the perversion of Judaism and the corruption of it.
No, I mean, absolutely. You said that all incredibly well. So let me ask you, man, like, do you take just so much heat? Like, from your family? Is your family like, are they on board with you, or are they like, oh my God, what are you doing? You're an idiot. Your friends, other Jewish people in New York City. And then I want to talk about, like, your work. Like, I know it's affect your comedy stuff because I've seen you post things to where you've gotten shows canceled on you and things like that. But let's start off with, like how has this been with your family, and where do they net out on it?
It hasn't been easy with family. There are, of course, family members that, like, wrote me off right away. And first of all, I want to mention that, like I mentioned, I've been advocating, for Palestinian human rights for some
Yeah,
time. And it seemed that prior to 10/7, people were tolerating it.
got it.
Some people weren't too crazy about it. Some people be like, Jonathan, like, why? What are you doing? Like, what's going on? But people, for the most part, were like, okay, after 10/7, there was a shift where people really became like, we'll never talk to you again. This is horrible. Like, some people even would go so far as, you have a part to play in this
Wow.
because you riled up, anti-Israel sentiment and hatred, and that's part of it. And after 10/7, there, I have, a brother who won't talk to me. I have other family members who won't talk to me, who've sent me horrible messages and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, it's difficult for a number of reasons. Of course, it's always sad when, you know, a family member and someone you love and you care about wants to cut you off and doesn't want to talk to you. But then there's also the flip side of which is really sad and depressing to think that like this person that you cared about and you love and you respected is siding with genociders, is siding with, you know, people that I think are evil, and to such a degree that because I'm criticizing, because I'm bringing light to well documented violations of human rights, like that is so triggering to them that they want to cut me off. Because if you look at my advocacy, you know, a lot of it started coming from a place of trying to wake Jewish people up,
Right.
trying to like, you know, at the time I wanted to almost be like, hey, save Israel. Like, hey, like Israel better get its shit together now because things are only going to get worse, which they have gotten really worse. And I think globally, the perception of Israel and the feelings for Israel are, you know, at an all-time low and worse than they've ever been,
Yeah.
and it's only going to keep getting that way. And it's like there's this cognitive disconnect, which is crazy, where like too many Jewish people don't understand, as long as we're associated with apartheid, with ethnic cleansing, with genocide, not only is Israel not going to be safe, but Jewish people aren't going to be safe. And like this isn't a good look. It's like we're not going to bomb our way into making people like us.
Yeah. Yeah. That's yeah, you're definitely not going to bomb your way into making people like you or kill your way into making people like you. Man, your own brother, like your own brother who you had a good relationship with up until, let's say, the past, I guess, maybe even 2 years? Really?
After, yeah, after 10/7, things, I guess, I don't know, it was just too much. And there, you know, there are so many other people that I grew up with who are just so upset. And that is something that I have noticed, which when it comes from a white Jewish person, it really upsets people a little bit more for
Yeah.
some reason.
Yeah.
I've seen, even with comedy, I've done shows where I've seen people of color talk about this. And, you know, the audience seems to be okay with it. And once I start talking about it, it just enrages people. It's like, what? This is what you're using your privilege for. Like, you don't have your privilege for this. It really pisses people off. And, you know, people call me, oh, get Jonathan to stop. And, you know, friends just be like, other people are telling me that I shouldn't talk to you because you're doing this stuff.
Wow.
And it's like it's really crazy, like the venom that people will have, like they will want to destroy you, which, you know, are, again, you know, you mentioned career things, and you know there are people that want to just go out and destroy the careers of people that are advocating for Palestinian human rights. And that's another thing that's like against Judaism.
Yeah.
Like in
Yeah.
Judaism, it's like costing somebody their livelihood is akin to taking their lives. Like
Okay.
it's against it, but people don't really seem to care about, you know, the Torah, about the values of Judaism. They're obsessed with nationalism.
Mm.
And that's kind of what Zionism has done. And, you know, my theory is Zionism is a tool of imperialists and anti Semites and evangelical Christians who are using and manipulating the Jews, who, like I said, are too busy worshiping their golden calf to realize it.
No, absolutely. And that correlation with evangelical Christians and the tie with like, man, some of these pastors that I see, like, I don't know if you know these guys, but like Jonathan Hagee, Kenneth Copeland, who else? Franklin Graham, Paula White, the lady Trump brought in as his spiritual advisor. I mean, I watch the stuff they put out and it's just insane. Like, it's insane. But there are millions of Christians in the United States that are following that. And a lot of that, I mean, man, that
Want the full truth? Watch the full Deep Shallow Dive interview next. And hit subscribe if you're done with narratives and ready to call a spade a spade.